The traditional basis of the Roman military order was the legions, which consisted of 10 cohorts of about 500 men each. Since the reign of Octavian Augustus, the acies duplex formation, 2 lines of 5 cohorts, was used. The depth of the cohort formation was equal to 4 soldiers, and the legion, 8. This formation provided good stability and efficiency of troops in battle. The old, 3-line formation went out of use, as in the years of the Empire Rome had no opponent with a highly organized army, against which it could be needed. The legion formation could be closed or open. It gave the opportunity, depending on the situation, to occupy more or less space on the battlefield. An important aspect of legion formation was the defense of the flank, traditionally the most vulnerable point of any army at all times. To make flanking difficult for the enemy, it was possible to stretch the formation or cover with natural obstacles, a river, forest, ravine. The best troops, both legions and auxiliary, Roman commanders put on the right flank. On this side of the soldiers were not covered with shields, and therefore became more vulnerable to enemy weapons. Protection of the flank, in addition to practical, had a great moral effect. The soldier who knew that he was not in danger of being bypassed, fought better. According to Roman law, only citizens of Rome could serve in the legion. Auxiliary units were recruited from free men who wished to become citizens. In the eyes of the commander, they had less value than the legionaries, due to the difficulty of recruiting replenishments, and therefore were used for cover, as well as the first to engage the enemy. Since they were lighter armed, they had greater mobility than the legionaries. They could start a fight, and in case of threat of defeat to retreat under the cover of the legion and reorganize. Roman cavalry also belonged to the auxiliary troops, with the exception of a small number, only 120 people, cavalry legion. They were recruited from a wide variety of peoples, so the cavalry formation could be different. The cavalry played the role of the shooters of the battle, scouts, could be used as a shock unit. And all these roles were often assigned to the same unit. The most common type of Roman cavalry were centuri, armed with a long pike and dressed in chain mail. Roman cavalry was not badly trained, but few in number. This made it difficult to use them effectively in battle. Throughout the 1st and 2nd centuries AD, the Romans continually increased the number of cavalry units. In addition, at this time appeared and their new varieties. Thus, in the time of Augustus appeared mounted archers, and later, under Emperor Hadrian, cataphractari. The first units of cataphractari were created on the basis of experience of wars with the Sarmatians and Parthians and were shock units. How effective? It is difficult to say, as the data on their participation in battles remained little. The general principles of preparation of the army of the Roman Empire for battle could change. So, for example, in case the enemy dispersed and evaded the general battle, the Roman commander could send part of the legions and auxiliary troops to ravage the enemy territory or capture fortified settlements. These actions could lead to the surrender of the enemy even before the big battle. Julius Caesar acted in a similar way against the Gauls during the Republic. More than 150 years later, a similar tactic was chosen by Emperor Trajan, who captured and sacked the capital of the Dacian Sarmizegetusa. The Romans, by the way, were one of the ancient peoples who made the process of plundering organized. If the enemy did take the battle, the Roman commander had another advantage. The temporary camps of the legions represented an excellent defense, so that the Roman commander himself chose when to start the battle. In addition, the camp provided an opportunity to wear out the enemy. For example, the future Emperor Tiberius, when conquering the region of Pannonia, seeing that the hordes of his opponents came to the battlefield at dawn, gave the order not to leave the camp. Pannonians were forced to spend the day in the pouring rain. Tiberius then attacked the tired barbarians and defeated them. In 61, the general Suetonius Paulinus fought a decisive battle with the troops of Boudicca, the leader of the rebellious Briton tribe of the Iceni. The legion and auxiliary troops, about 10,000 men in all, were cornered by superior enemy forces and forced to take the fight. To protect the flanks and rear, the Romans took up a position between wooded hills. The Britons were forced to launch a frontal assault. After repulsing the first onslaught, Suetonius Paulinus lined up the legionaries in wedges and attacked the Iceni. Correct tactics and Roman superiority in weaponry brought Rome victory. A remarkable moment. Usually the legions tried to save, but because of the small forces it was they who bore the brunt of this battle. An uncharacteristic moment for Rome. In 84, fighting at Gropisci Mountains, Gnaeus Julius Agricola built his troops so that the result was a well-echeloned defense. In the center was the auxiliary infantry, covered on the flanks by 3,000 horsemen. The legions were positioned in front of the camp rampart. On the one hand, because of this, it was the auxiliary troops who had to fight, without the shedding of Roman blood. On the other hand, if they were defeated, Agricola would still have troops to rely on. The auxiliary troops fought in an open formation to avoid flanking. The commander even had a reserve, 4 mounted detachments, saved for possible surprises in the battle. Deep echelon of troops on a wide area of terrain applied Lucius Flavius Arrian during the battles against the nomads in 135. In front he put detachments of Gauls and Germans, behind them, foot archers, then 4 legions. With them was Emperor Hadrian with cohorts of Praetorian guards and selected cavalry. Then followed 4 more legions and lightly armed troops with mounted archers. Building provided the Roman stability in battle and timely approach of reinforcements. Arrian, by the way, built legions phalanx of 2 lines of 5 cohorts, 8 men deep, as mentioned earlier. The 9th row of the formation served as archers. On the flanks on the uplands positioned auxiliary troops, and the weak Roman cavalry, unable to resist the nomadic Alans, took cover behind the infantry. What was at that time weak in the army of Rome, so it is tactical maneuvering. It was used either by outstanding commanders, or when there was no other way, for example, because of the numerical superiority of the enemy. At the same time, the interaction of units in battle became more complicated due to the increase in the number of their varieties.